Terrifying cabin experience based on true events. The wind howled through the dense forest as I drove deeper into the secluded mountains. My heart pounded with a mix of excitement and trepidation, for I had decided to embark on a solo road trip to a rustic cabin I had inherited from a distant relative. The cabin was nestled far from civilization, surrounded by towering pines that whispered ominous secrets. My headlights cut through the darkness like a lonely beacon, illuminating the eerie shadows that danced at the edges of my vision. As I approached the cabin, a mixture of excitement and trepidation washed over me. The place held a certain charm, but there was an underlying sense of foreboding that made me uneasy. Ignoring my instincts, I parked the car and stepped out, entered the cabin, and set about making myself at home. Inside, the air was musty, and the silence was deafening. I tried to shake off the feeling of being watched as I set about lighting some candles and making myself at home. Perhaps it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Nightfall came swiftly, and with it, an eerie silence enveloped the forest. I lit a warm fire in the fireplace and tried to focus on my book, but my concentration kept wavering. The subtle sounds of the night outside seemed to grow louder with each passing minute. Just as I began to settle down, I heard something peculiar, a soft tapping on the cabin windows. I peered into the darkness, but there was nothing there. Assuming it was just a branch swaying in the wind, I dismissed the thought and tried to resume reading. However, as the night wore on, the tapping grew more insistent and seemed to come from different windows around the cabin. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt an inexplicable fear creep over me. To maintain my composure, I reminded myself that it was probably just the wind playing tricks on my mind, but the torment didn't end there. In the middle of the night, I awoke to find the cabin door slightly ajar. Panic surged through my veins, and I quickly closed and locked the door. From that moment on, the feeling of being watched became overwhelming, and every creak and rustle outside sent shivers down my spine. During the days, I explored the nearby woods to distract myself from the mounting fear. However, my excursions yielded strange discoveries. I stumbled upon peculiar markings on the trees, symbols that seemed to hold a dark and sinister meaning. The woods, once serene and inviting, now felt suffocating, as if they were closing in on me. Back at the cabin, I found my belongings disturbed. Items had been rearranged or outright misplaced, and a sense of violation settled over me. The intruder seemed to be taunting me, leaving behind unsettling reminders of their presence. As night fell again, the tormentor's malevolence escalated to terrifying heights. I heard heavy breathing outside my window, and chilling laughter echoed through the trees. I called out, demanding the intruder reveal themselves, but they remained elusive, always just out of sight. In the darkness, I felt hands pressing against the window pane, fingers tapping on the glass with an unsettling rhythm. The tormentor seemed to know my deepest fears, using them against me in the most sinister ways. One night, as I huddled in fear, the cabin's power went out, plunging me into utter darkness. The sudden loss of light sent shivers down my spine, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. With my heart pounding in my chest, I strained my ears to listen for any movement in the pitch-black cabin. Then, as if on cue, the lights flickered back on, revealing a terrifying sight before me. The intruder, standing right in front of me. Their face was masked, obscuring any features that might reveal their identity, and their eyes were filled with malice, gleaming with a sinister delight that sent a chill down my spine. Frozen with fear, I couldn't move as the intruder advanced, their wicked grin spreading across their face like a malevolent crescent moon. They whispered vile threats and malevolent promises, their words dripping with a venomous intent to make me suffer. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to escape the clutches of this malevolent presence. But fear rooted me to the spot. I felt like prey caught in the gaze of a merciless predator, with nowhere to hide from the tormentor's sinister game. But desperation and survival instinct fueled a flicker of courage within me. I reached for a nearby lamp, my hands trembling as I gripped it tightly, using it as both a weapon and a source of feeble light. With a surge of determination, I swung the lamp at the intruder, making contact with a loud crack. The figure stumbled backward, seemingly surprised by my resistance. For a moment, their mask slipped, and I caught a glimpse of a twisted smile beneath it. Revealing an unsettling truth, this tormentor relished my fear, and my defiance had only fueled their sadistic pleasure. Taking advantage of the momentary opening, I darted towards the back door, my heart pounding in my ears, drowning out the chilling laughter that echoed through the trees. The intruder pursued me relentlessly, their malevolent presence lingering just behind me, an ever-present shadow in the night. I ran blindly through the dense forest, the branches clawing at me, and my breath came in ragged gasps as I pushed my body beyond its limits. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs fueled my terror, and I felt like I was trapped in a nightmarish maze with no way out. The intruder's laughter seemed to surround me as if they were everywhere at once, playing a haunting symphony of malevolence. I felt their presence like a cold breath on my neck, urging me to give in to my fear, but I refused to surrender. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of desperate flight, I stumbled upon a faint glimmer of hope, a familiar road in the distance. Adrenaline surged through my veins, giving me a burst of energy as I pushed myself onward. With the last surge of determination, I reached the road and spotted the headlights of a passing car. I waved frantically, my voice hoarse from screaming for help. The car screeched to a halt, and I rushed toward the driver, barely able to form coherent words. "Please, you have to help me," I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. "There's someone after me in the woods." The driver, a kind stranger, saw the terror in my eyes and didn't hesitate. They opened the door for me, and I climbed in, still trembling with fear and exhaustion. As the car sped away from the nightmarish cabin and the haunting woods, I couldn't shake the feeling that the intruder's malevolence would forever haunt me. Their chilling laughter seemed to echo in my mind, a constant reminder that evil could lurk in even the most serene and idyllic places, waiting to torment the unwary. The driver, a kind stranger, obliged me and drove me to the nearest town. I filed a report with the authorities, but despite their best efforts, the intruder was never caught. Haunted by the ordeal, though I tried to move on, the memory of that harrowing experience stayed with me. I vowed never to return to the cabin. The tormentor's face and chilling laughter lingered in my nightmares, a constant reminder of the darkness that had enveloped me in those wooded mountains. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel to hear more creepy, scary horror stories every week.